your service on the battlefield and beyond. Three Bravo.
All right, what's going on, everybody? I'm Liam Cogan. This is the 3 Bravo podcast, and today we're going to be doing a Veterans Benefits Breakdown. If you haven't tuned in before, that's essentially where I take a hard-to-understand veterans benefit or one that's kind of easy to understand, and I break it down in 15 minutes or less. So today I want to go through kind of something a little more fun, and it's going to be really relevant here coming up in these next couple months. And honestly, it has been. So a national hunting benefits overview. So if you're not a big hunter, but if you know one, share this with them. You can skip this benefits breakdown. National hunting benefits. So when we think of our veterans benefits, we're generally thinking of like the GI Bill, the VA home loan, and the medical disability. And really, if you haven't enlisted yet, I am sure you're not thinking of medical disability because nobody gets into the service thinking that their body is going to break as much as it really does. But I'm not going to belabor that point. I have plenty of podcasts on that. Go ahead and click around in Spotify, YouTube, and we have plenty of shorts moving around Instagram. But what I want to jump into is kind of what I think are some of the best benefits, some of the best states for benefits as they pertain to veteran hunting and fishing, outdoor activities really generally, and some of the coolest ones. So the way I broke this down, I built out like a mathematic equation, okay? And really what matters the most is going to be general access to veterans. So if your state doesn't give any access to veterans at 0% disability, so just veterans in general, or any added access, I should say, or any added benefit, right? You get a lower score. And if your state gives benefits access to, or added access or whatever extra to all of your state's veterans, you get a lot more points. And then it goes into, well, how good is the benefit and what are they getting? And then how many people can get in on it, right? So there's going to be a lot of benefits statewide. And if you're curious about your state, like you're like, dang, I really want to move to Alaska, or I really want to move to Alabama, but I want to know what benefits am I going to be entitled to when I get there? I grew up in Ohio and I knew those. Or are you going back to Ohio? I grew up in Ohio. I don't really plan on going back. I'm living in Nevada now and it's sweet, but you want to know what you're entitled to. I will be doing a series where I break down the state benefits of every single state. And then we're going to keep on breaking down benefits until there are no more benefits to break down and everybody understands everything, which I hope happens. So to start, I want to go into some of the best states. And remember, these criteria are basically based on, biggest thing is ease of access. How many veterans can get in on this benefit? So you can have the coolest benefit in the world, but if it's at 100% disabled for veterans, you're really limiting that access, right? So you're not going to get as big of a score as a state. So and these aren't exactly numbered. I'll put out some numbers. We have some articles coming out on the website. Stay tuned for the website launch. Illinois, they give veterans everything they possibly can. So when you think about like veterans benefits for hunting and fishing, they run the full gambit and they try to give it to every single veteran in the state. So free hunting and fishing license for 10% disabled resident veterans, free license for number of years deployed for military stationed in Illinois. So if you're military stationed in Illinois, not only do you get a free hunting and fishing, but you get free hunting and fishing for every year you've deployed as an Illinois vet, which I think is kind of interesting, kind of cool. A good way to do it. You're kind of gauging service for people who don't even claim Illinois as a resident. And if you're from Illinois and you're, stationed wherever else and you're home on leave, or if you're stationed in Illinois as an Illinois current active duty, all you need to do to go hunt and fish your home state is bring your leave chit. Pretty sick. You bring your leave chit while you're on your, 2-week hunting leave, and you're good to go. No hunting or fishing license necessary. That's pretty badass. And veterans without disabilities are still eligible for a combo license. So 10% gets you a free license. So that's huge. Free, completely free. And veterans without a disability are still eligible for a combo license at $6.50. So just as you look at it, listen, Illinois doesn't have all the big game of these big game states. They don't have all the crazy shit. They have some great whitetail hunting. They have some excellent whitetail hunting. But they give you everything they can. Really, they're giving every single veteran and active duty military member who interacts with the state a benefit, which I think is really great. Something to kind of look up to. A lot of these Western states protect their game a lot more meticulously. And I think there's a lot of room to kind of adjust how you're treating your veteran populations. Connecticut offers a free license to veterans with a service-connected disability of 10%, so very much like Illinois. That includes hunting, fishing, and other sporting licenses. So permits and tags. Connecticut's getting closer up there. They have kind of a bigger diversity of big game animals. And then they do something cool where they give military dependents, veterans dependents, so, you know, your wife, your kids, you can also benefit from a group license. So if you're wanting to show your kid to fish, or you want to bring your wife on a fishing weekend, you can get a group license at a discounted cost through your so basically through like a qualified organization that's working with a fishing game. Super easy to look up if you are one of those people that applies to in Connecticut. It's a Google search away. However, we'll be providing links in the description here. And the same goes for New Jersey. So very similar setup in New Jersey. These states get a lot of points because New Jersey offers free hunting and freshwater fishing licenses for resident veterans with any degree of service-connected disability. So 1% gets you in the ball game for not needing to pay for your fishing license. The reason those are so big, right, is because if you had to pay $10 for your fishing license and you were, you know, a veteran, right, or you were a 10% disabled, whatever it is, if you had to pay $10 for the license, that's what the discount gets you. Understand that with these bureaucratic things, if you have to pay it all, you're on the hook for a big fine if you don't have everything completely squared away. If you're a veteran and you get it just for free because you have, you know, 1% service-connected disability, you're building in this like really solid structure for giving veterans leeway for making mistakes and not figuring things out properly. I'm not saying that's your go-to and just claim negligence or claim ignorance, but really they're doing a great thing. They're kind of building in this understood culture where veterans have kind of earned this right. They just have to do a little bit of work, and it helps and it builds in, you know, some organic leeway. So all you need is to access these benefits in every state, right? All you're going to need is your DD-214 and your medical disability status. And you take that information and you're basically taking it into your fish and game office, and they usually want it in paper. Almost all of them. I can't say that for every single state because things change a lot per state. But almost every single state is going to require those two items or an equivalent item. So if you have an ID that's a current veteran status ID, VHIC card perhaps, you're going to need those things, but generally DD-214 because it's going to show your status of separation, and then your medical paperwork because it shows your percent disability. And then you take that into your state fish and game agency, and they're going to give you one more piece of paper. You fill that sucker out, you turn it all in together, and then bada boom, bada bing, you're squared away. And it'll be easier the next time you do it. So those are 3 states where they're really doing it right. They aren't like the biggest game states in America. You know, everyone's just dreaming of Montana and Colorado, but those states give everything they can to as many veterans as possible, and that's what is really important in that scale. So after we look at that, I want to go into some awesome big game states because I know that's what we're all obsessed with. It's, you know, the idea of getting out of town and going and roughing it in, you know, like the Badlands of Nevada, in the Great Basin, where you can see sky for miles and miles and miles, and you can glass up a pronghorn 2 miles away, rip on a dirt bike, hit a jump while you're on your way, throw off your, you know, take your recurve bow and low crawl for another 200 yards, and you come in and plug a a legendary animal and get to eat some meat that night and have a beautiful mount to remember your story. That's what we dream of. It's a very cool dream. You know, I don't know why our masculinity drives us there, but probably because it's awesome. But here are some of the best big game benefits. So this is a podcast about the diversity, or a YouTube video, however you're consuming your media. This is about the diversity of your benefit. Okay. Your broader benefit of being a military member is having access to all these things in all these places. And for a lot of these, I'm trying to focus on things that are going to benefit more veterans than less. The same way I graded those things, that's how I kind of built this list. So let's dive into a couple of them. So Idaho, beautiful state connecting Canada to Nevada, bordering Oregon, Montana. Idaho has a 3-day hunting and fishing license for $31 and reduced tag prices. That's for out-of-state veterans. Okay, that's awesome. So when you're thinking, now I live in Nevada, I have a lot of friends and family who want to come out and hunt this season, or even just go around and scout out with me. Nevada protects resident hunting more than any state that I've ever seen. It's not like there's a million states to figure this out from, but Nevada is very protective of their in-state resident hunting, and you have to pay a lot of money if you're going to apply for tags from out of state, is basically what I'm getting at, and get into the lottery system. If you're unfamiliar with a Western hunting state, you apply for tags somewhere about now in spring. There's going to be generally 2 application periods, early, late application. Some states sell over-the-counter tags, so if you miss those 2, you can still go over the counter and buy an over-the-counter tag in a non-pressured area, or wherever the Fish and Game Association feels fit to kind of dole out more tags. But you have to apply, and then you get a lottery point, and that kind of rolls over every year, and then eventually you get your tag, right? Because you get more and more points. You get 2x, 3x, 4x year after year, and then finally with 5x you get so many extra tags that you get what you've been going after for a couple years, and it can be expensive as an out-of-state person. with a state like Nevada, all my friends and family are going to be paying, a pretty good chunk of change every year to come out and have a good hunt because they can stay with me. I can get them on game. But with these big game states, which are generally more protective than, eastern states with whitetail, I mean, there are just so many whitetail, and it's hard to see all the whitetail, and to be as successful, they've really got to walk to you, or you got to walk really quiet. I've killed game on foot before, and it's a mental concentration game in itself. On the East Coast. I mean, it all is, right? But Idaho has the 3-day hunting and fishing license. Like I said, $31 and reduced tag prices for out-of-state veterans. That's bonkers. That's bonkers. If you're looking for a big game hunt and you're a vet, check that out, okay? It doesn't get much better than that. Idaho is a beautiful state, amazing game animals. Enough said. So you also have, on the total flip side of this coin, that not a lot of hunters think about for some reason, but is a very cool state for hunting, Maine. So in Maine, you get a free license with a 50% or greater disability. Understand that this is out of state. These are going to be for out of state big game hunting benefits for veteran hunters. Okay. So you're not from there, non-resident. Maine, free license with 50% or greater disability. So if you're not tracking on Maine, Maine has insane fishing. Maine has moose, Maine has whitetail, Maine has beautiful hunting and beautiful scenery. I mean, it's really an incredible state. And you can get your license for 50%, or if you have 50% for free with 50% or greater disability. So, I mean, it speaks for itself. Moving on, everybody's favorite state because of TV, Montana. Through veteran organizations like PALMIA, vets with 70% disability can receive donated licenses from Montana hunters. So the way you're going to action this benefit is you're going to approach a veteran organization like PALMIA, VFW, and they receive. So if a hunter who draws a Montana tag can't go take their tag, Montana will hit them up and say, hey, would you like to donate your tag to a disabled veteran? So if you have 70% disability, you can apply for these tags. for a Montana big game hunt, you didn't even have to had applied for a tag earlier, and you get your license, and then you score yourself away for this hunt. Next, going on to Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, huge whitetail state. If you're a whitetail guy, it's kind of a haven. Free or reduced license for 60% or more disabled. So in the whitetail game, there's not really this big crazy tag game where you got to apply and lottery systems and yada yada yada. On the East Coast, you get your license, you get out in the woods. In Pennsylvania, it is free. If you are 60% or more disabled, that is an out-of-state veteran benefit. That is nuts. Remember that one if you are traveling to PA and hunting with your buddies. If you live in Alabama, you should be thinking about going, well, actually, Alabama's got some nice looking bucks, but they're not as meaty. You can get a nice looking rack, some big bucks, but they're not going to be as meaty. Get yourself over to PA with that 60% or more disabled. You're getting your stuff for free. So I'm going to kind of scream through these last ones because we're getting past the 15-minute mark, but this one's a little bit longer because there's just so much information to digest. Kind of have to understand how Western hunting works for you really to understand how good some of these benefits are. But these are some really interesting individual benefits. So it's not necessarily like the Western big game. It's just interesting, cool, definitely worth checking out. So in Florida, if you were a disabled veteran, this is, I believe, called their Gold Star program. If you are a disabled veteran with 100% service-connected disability, okay, so that's out of reach for a lot of us, but there are a lot of folks who can get in on that, and they have a great one. So they're licensed for an out-of-state veteran. Any veteran with 100% service-connected disability, free license that includes hunting and fresh and saltwater fishing. So for that to apply to resident and non-resident hunters, free hunting, 100% disabled benefit, you're talking about come on. This is like the best saltwater fishing in America, with easy access to spearfishing, lobsters, fly fishing for reds, just insane diversity of species, fly fishing, saltwater fishing, deep water angling, spearfishing. And then you also have some very interesting hunting opportunities with hogs, gators, and if you check out a certain island that you apply for a tag, there are some mongoloid bucks in Florida. I'm not going to give you all the info. You might have to check back in for Florida's state benefit layout, state benefit podcast episode that should be coming up, I don't know, in a couple months. But there are some crazy cool benefits that come with a full-on free license in Florida. Moving on to our next wild, cool individual benefit, we have Oklahoma. So disabled veteran lifetime combo. So this is a resident hunter who is disabled between 1 and 59%. Okay, you're looking at a lifetime. So if you're more, you have a different a different access, which is also very, very interesting. But I'm going to put that out in Oklahoma's episode. If you are looking at 1 to 59%, so we'll just talk about those guys right now, you're looking at $200 for a lifetime hunt and fish license in Oklahoma. If you are going back home to Oklahoma or you're considering moving to Oklahoma, do not spend a single dollar on a single year of hunting and fishing. You can get your lifetime for $200. That's basically applying for tags as a resident in Nevada this year. Moving on to Alaska. So Alaska's crazy cool. We're going to be talking about it very, very soon. Check out the Alaska State Benefits podcast. It is going to be very, very cool. It's going to be the very first state benefit podcast episode, but you get 50% disabled, get all big game tags at no cost except on permit hunts, so draw hunts. There are so many opportunities in Alaska, and if you're looking for that awesome, trip with the boys, going to hunt moose, elk, reindeer, so many cool things, so many cool opportunities, sheep, mountain lions, grizzly bears, black bears, fishing trips. Alaska's out of its mind, a hunter and fisher outdoorsman's paradise. 50% disabled, get all big game tags at no cost. That's nuts. And with that, I'm going to sign out. Remember, keep your eye out for some of these big state benefits breakdowns. Everyone's state is eventually going to be coming out. So you combine that with your federal benefits to your state benefits, and you can generally assume that you're pretty squared away. I'm Liam Cogan. This is the 3 Bravo podcast, the Veterans Benefits breakdown of your hunting and fishing, resident and non-resident, biggest benefits. I'll check y'all next time.